Have you ever been sat next to a stranger, and for some reason, you just cannot shake the feeling that something is off? Nothing obvious has happened. They have not said anything terrible. They may not even be looking at you. But your body feels it before your mind can explain it. Something in you tightens. Something in you goes quiet. Something in you says, something about this does not feel right. Or have you ever started watching a film and turned it off because it just did not sit right with you? Not because it was badly made, not because you could explain it perfectly, but because something about the atmosphere, the energy, the emotion, the violence, the sadness, the darkness, the feeling of it, began to affect you. Or maybe you know a person who is always negative, always complaining, always seeing the problem, always sucking the joy out of the room like a human vacuum cleaner with unresolved emotional software. And you know who that person is, don't you? Your mind just went straight to someone. But this is exactly what we are talking about today. Because what surrounds you shapes you, not instantly, not dramatically, not like some lightning bolt from the heavens, but slowly, quietly, daily. The words you hear, the people you sit with, the music you play, the films you watch, the conversations you repeat, the rooms you live inside, the accounts you follow, the emotional atmosphere you keep returning to. All of it enters you. All of it touches the nervous system. All of it leaves a trace. And if you are highly sensitive, empathic, emotionally aware, intuitive, traumatized, healing, exhausted, or simply human in a very loud world, you may absorb far more than you realize. So today, beautiful souls, we are not talking about self-talk. We have already explored that. We are not talking about focus. We have already explored that too. Today, we are widening the lens, because your inner world is not only shaped by what you say to yourself, it is shaped by what you allow around yourself. And by the end of this video, I want you to look at your life differently, not with fear, not with judgment, not with dramatic, cut everyone off energy, but with awareness. Because sometimes anxiety does not come from nowhere. Sometimes heaviness does not come from nowhere. Sometimes that strange exhaustion you feel after certain people, certain places, certain media, certain conversations is not random. Sometimes your body is responding to what your mind has been trying to tolerate, and that is a very different conversation. Because in modern life, people are constantly told to be more resilient, be stronger, be less sensitive, stop overthinking, stop being dramatic, stop taking things personally. But what if sensitivity is not the problem? What if the problem is that human beings were never designed to absorb this much emotional noise every single day without becoming affected by it? Because we are absorbent creatures, we like to imagine ourselves as separate from our surroundings, as if we can walk through constant stress, anger, comparison, violence, gossip, pressure, chaos, noise, and negativity, and somehow remain untouched. But we do not work that way. The human nervous system is relational. It responds to tone, facial expression, body language, sound, rhythm, atmosphere, safety, threat, repetition. You can walk into a room and feel tension before anyone tells you what happened. You can sit with someone calm and feel your own breathing slow down. You can spend 10 minutes with someone chaotic and feel your thoughts begin racing. You can listen to a beautiful piece of music and feel something inside you soften. You can listen to angry, aggressive, heavy sound all day and feel your body become more activated. You can watch fear-based content for hours and then wonder why your chest feels tight later. The body is always listening, not just to words, to atmosphere. And this is where science and ancient wisdom quietly meet. Modern psychology talks about emotional contagion, the way emotions can spread between people, sometimes without us even realizing it. Research has shown that emotional states can transfer through social networks, and some studies suggest negative moods may spread more strongly than positive ones, which basically means, yes, someone else's bad mood can climb into your nervous system and sit down like it pays rent. And we have all felt that. You can be having a perfectly normal day, then one person enters with storm cloud energy, and suddenly the room changes. The air changes, people speak differently, bodies tense, everyone becomes slightly more careful. Nobody has said, "Attention everyone, the emotional weather has changed." But everyone feels it. Because human beings are not just thinking minds walking around in separate containers. We are fields of signals. We affect each other constantly. A sigh can change a room. A sharp tone can change a conversation. A calm presence can settle a child. A cruel comment can stay in someone's body for years. And if that is true, then we have to become more conscious about what we are allowing near our minds, bodies, and hearts. Because your surroundings are not passive. They are teaching you every day. A home filled with constant shouting teaches the body to prepare for danger. A relationship filled with criticism teaches the mind to defend itself. A friendship built on gossip teaches the nervous system to scan for betrayal. A workplace filled with pressure and no kindness teaches the body that rest is unsafe. A social media feed filled with outrage teaches the brain that the world is always on fire. And over time, you may begin to think, this is just who I am. I'm anxious. I'm negative. I'm easily irritated. I'm always tired. But sometimes the question is not, what is wrong with me? Sometimes the better question is, what am I living inside every day? Because a flower struggling to grow in poisoned soil is not a weak flower. It is a flower responding honestly to its environment. And humans are not so different. We need the right conditions. We need rest, safety, beauty, meaning, honest conversation, good silence. People who do not constantly drain the life out of us. Spaces that allow the nervous system to breathe. Sounds that do not keep the body in alarm. Inputs that nourish rather than agitate. And no, this does not mean life must be perfect. It will not be. You cannot control every person, every noise, every film, every conversation, every stressful situation. And we should not become so fragile that we avoid all discomfort. That is not wisdom. That is another kind of prison. But there is a difference between occasionally facing discomfort and building your entire life inside things that constantly dysregulate you. There is a difference between being open-hearted and being endlessly available to people who leave you feeling hollow. There is a difference between staying informed and bathing your nervous system in fear every morning. There is a difference between enjoying emotional art and repeatedly consuming things that leave you feeling darker, heavier, more hopeless, more agitated, and less connected to yourself. And this is why discernment matters. Discernment is not judgment. Discernment is not superiority. Discernment is the quiet wisdom that says, I notice how this affects me. That is all. You do not need to hate someone to notice they drain you. You do not need to condemn a film to notice it unsettles you. You do not need to become dramatic to admit that certain conversations make your body tighten. You do not need to explain everything intellectually before you honor what your nervous system is telling you. Sometimes, the body knows before the mind has language. And this is especially true for highly sensitive people. Sensitive people are often made to feel as though they are too much, too aware, too affected, too emotional, too intuitive, too easily overwhelmed. But often sensitive people are simply picking up more information from the environment. More tone, more tension, more inconsistency, more atmosphere, more emotional residue. That does not make them broken. It means their system is finely tuned. And a finely tuned instrument cannot be thrown into constant noise and expected to stay in harmony. Think of a violin. Beautiful, precise, sensitive, capable of extraordinary sound. But if you leave it in the wrong conditions, if the air is too damp, too dry, too hot, too unstable, it begins to warp. Not because the violin is weak, because the environment matters. So why do we think humans are any different? Why do we think we can live surrounded by chaos and still feel peaceful? Why do we think we can spend hours listening to people tear others down and not become more cynical? Why do we think we can constantly watch violence, fear, betrayal, cruelty, and outrage and not have the body carry some of it? Why do we think we can keep people close who only ever speak from bitterness and not slowly begin seeing life through their fog? This is not about becoming precious. It is about becoming conscious. Because what you surround yourself with becomes the climate of your inner world. And that climate matters. Music is a beautiful example of this. Music does not just entertain you, it enters you. It can change mood, memory, movement, emotion, energy. The brain responds to music through systems connected with memory, emotion, pleasure, motivation, and movement. Harvard Medicine magazine notes that music lights up many areas of the brain, including regions linked to emotional memory and reward. That is why a song can take you back 10 years in 3 seconds. That is why one melody can make you cry before you even know why. That is why music can lift you, calm you, energize you, or pull you into old pain. Music is powerful, but powerful things should be chosen with awareness. There are songs that help you process grief. There are songs that help you move anger. There are songs that make you feel alive. There are songs that connect you to something higher. And there are songs that keep you trapped inside old wounds, old identities, old anger, old longing, old versions of yourself you are trying to outgrow. Again, this is not about judging anyone's playlist. We have all had our dramatic soundtrack eras. Sometimes you need the sad song, sometimes you need the angry. But if every day you are feeding your body the same emotional loop, eventually you have to ask, is this helping me feel and release, or is this helping me rehearse? Because there is a difference. One heals, the other keeps the wound warm. The same is true with films and shows. Stories shape us. They always have. Human beings learned through story long before screens existed. Myths, legends, parables, songs, theater, oral tradition. Stories teach the nervous system what to fear, what to honor, what to value, what to imagine, what kind of world we think we live in. So when we repeatedly consume stories filled only with cruelty, betrayal, violence, humiliation, fear, and hopelessness, we should not be surprised if something in us starts to feel heavier. That does not mean never watching anything dark. Some dark stories are meaningful. Some help us process shadow. Some help us understand humanity. Some are art. But awareness matters. Ask yourself, how do I feel after this? Do I feel expanded, thoughtful, moved, challenged in a meaningful way? Or do I feel anxious, dirty, agitated, numb, angry, hopeless, disconnected? Because your reaction matters. Your body is giving feedback. And then there are people. The biggest environment of all. Because people are not just people, they are climates. Some people are sunshine. Some are storms. Some are warm fires. Some are emotional damp. Some people make you feel more yourself. Some people make you shrink. Some people invite honesty. Some people make your nervous system prepare for defense the moment their name appears on your phone. And again, your mind just went to someone. That is not an accident. Your body remembers who costs you peace. But we are often taught to override that knowing. Be polite, be available, be nice, be forgiving, be understanding. Keep the peace. Do not make a fuss. Do not be difficult. And yes, kindness matters. Compassion matters. People go through things. Nobody is perfect. But constantly sacrificing your nervous system to keep other people comfortable is not kindness. It is self-abandonment dressed up as goodness. There is a difference between loving people and letting their unresolved chaos become the atmosphere you breathe. Some people do not need your hatred. They need your distance. Some people do not need a dramatic confrontation. They need less access to you. Some people do not need to be demonized. They simply cannot be allowed to keep pouring bitterness into your inner world. That is not cruelty, that is stewardship. You are responsible for the garden of your own mind, and not everyone should be allowed to walk through it with muddy boots. That line matters, because many people are trying to heal while still sitting every day in the same environment that keeps reopening the wound. They are trying to become peaceful while constantly surrounded by conflict. They are trying to become confident while constantly surrounded by criticism. They are trying to become hopeful while constantly surrounded by people who mock possibility. They are trying to become calm while consuming content that keeps the body in alarm. They are trying to become whole while repeatedly feeding themselves fragments. At some point, healing requires honesty, not just, what do I need to add, but what do I need to stop absorbing? Because sometimes, growth is not about doing more. Sometimes it is about removing what keeps pulling you away from yourself. And this is where self-agency begins. Not with controlling everything, but with choosing more consciously. Choosing the music that supports the version of you are becoming. Choosing conversations that do not leave your spirit bruised. Choosing films, books, and media that feed the mind rather than only shock it. Choosing to leave rooms where gossip is the main language. Choosing to protect your morning from instant panic. Choosing not to let another person's bitterness become your worldview. Choosing silence over noise when the body asks for it. Choosing beauty on purpose. And beauty matters. People forget that. Beauty regulates something in us. A candle, a clean corner, a window open to fresh air, a song that softens the chest, a walk under trees, a kind voice, a cup of tea made slowly, a room that feels safe, a conversation that does not require armor. These things are not small. They are medicine for a nervous system that has been living in too much harshness. Environmental psychology has long explored how surroundings such as noise, housing, crowding, green space, light, and air quality can affect stress, anxiety, depression, mood, and well-being. Which means your environment is not background. It is part of your biology. Your body is responding to the world around it all the time. So the helpful guidance I want to leave you with today is simple. Do an inner environment audit. Not in a rigid way, not with spreadsheets and shame, just gently. Ask yourself, what people leave me feeling more peaceful? What people leave me feeling smaller? What music lifts me? What music keeps me trapped in an old emotional loop? What films or shows make me feel heavy? What online spaces make me feel angry, jealous, anxious, or hopeless? What conversations do I keep having that never lead anywhere good? What rooms in my home help me breathe? What parts of my environment feel chaotic? What am I consuming every day that my nervous system is quietly paying for? And then do one small thing. Not everything, one thing. Unfollow one account that keeps you in comparison. Play one song that helps your body soften. Step away from one conversation that has become emotional mud wrestling. Choose one corner of your room and make it feel peaceful. Watch one thing that reminds you humanity still has beauty in it. Spend 10 minutes with someone who makes you laugh properly. Say no to one invitation your body already knows is a no. Because small choices repeated become atmosphere, and atmosphere repeated becomes identity. You do not need to escape the whole world. You just need to stop letting everything have equal access to you. That is the key. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not every story deserves to live inside your nervous system. Not every mood belongs to you. Some of what you are carrying may simply be something you absorbed because you were near it too long. So be careful what you surround yourself with, not because you are weak, but because you are alive. And living things are shaped by their conditions. A tree grows differently depending on light. A river changes depending on the land it moves through. A body changes depending on what it is fed. And a human being changes depending on what they repeatedly live beside. So choose wisely, choose gently, choose consciously. And maybe today, ask yourself, what have I been allowing around me that my future self would gently ask me to release? If this video helped you see your environment differently, please like, subscribe, and join us here on Valkyrie 338. We are building a space for people who want to understand themselves more deeply, protect their peace more wisely, and walk through this world with a little more awareness. As always, this has been Valkyrie. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others. Lanterns up, people.